Watching WION World One. I'm Josna Kumar and this is World DNA. Let's begin with the headlines. Dozens wounded, buildings damaged in Tel Aviv after Iran unleashes new wave of missiles on Israel. Emergency services rush to provide medical assistance. Israeli military says it has struck Iran's defense ministry headquarters, nuclear weapons project, infrastructure sites, and other targets. Israeli media claims Iran has asked Oman and Qatar to mediate between Tehran and Washington with the aim of resuming nuclear negotiations, but on a condition: Israeli attacks cease. Identification process of victims from the tragic Air India flight AI-171 crash continues with progress. Gujarat's Minister of State for Home, Harsh Sanghvi, confirms 19 victims identified through DNA matching.
In the Continental Army, fifes and drums carried commands across the chaos about history to life, sharing the sound of
Trump touts U.S. military might during his speech at the Army's 250th anniversary parade, says America's enemies have always regretted challenging its armed forces. Oil prices spiked 7% after airstrikes between Israel and Iran raised concerns about West Asia oil exports. Brent crude reached $74.23 per barrel, a significant weekly increase. Iran-Israel tensions continue to escalate. First, let's give you the latest developments that we bring right now from the ground. In its latest strikes in Tehran, Israel has struck the Iranian Defense Ministry headquarters. IDF says it has also completed an extensive series of strikes in Tehran related to the Iranian regime's nuclear weapons project. In a tweet, the IDF said that the sites it has targeted included the Iranian Ministry of Defense headquarters, the headquarters of the SPND nuclear project, and additional targets, which it said advance the Iranian regime's efforts to obtain a nuclear weapon and where the Iranian regime hid its nuclear archive. In Israel, meanwhile, sirens and explosions have been heard in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv as Iran announced a fresh missile salvo against Israel. Israel's military confirmed the development. In a post on social media X, it said that millions of Israelis were running for shelter as sirens sound. in dozens of cities and communities around the country. Now, rescue operations are currently underway in Israel's Gush Dan. Images show severe damage to a residential building hit by an Iranian missile. A woman aged 60 years has lost her life, while 20 people are reportedly wounded. In Shfela, at least 24 people have been injured in Iranian strikes. In northern Israel's Tamra, a woman in her 20s was killed and 13 other people were injured when an Iranian missile struck a two-story house. Rescue operations in the area are currently underway. Well, just breaking news coming in. 3 people have been confirmed dead after a missile fired by Iran struck a building in Israel's Bat Yam. Now, those killed include a woman in her 60s, a woman in her 70s, and a child aged 13. Now, according to first responders, more than 100 people in total have been wounded in the 2 impact sites in both Bat Yam and Rehovot, including a number who were seriously injured. Now, breaking news just coming in. Casualties have been reported in Israel. 3 people have been confirmed dead after a missile fired by Iran struck a building in Israel's Bat Yam. And those killed include a woman in her 60s, a woman in her 70s, and a child aged 13. According to first responders, more than 100 people in total have been wounded in the 2 impact sites in both Bat Yam and Rehovot, including a number who were seriously injured. Now, that is the latest that we are getting in, and these are the visuals that you see in Bat Yam, where the rescue operation is still underway, with 3 casualties reported so far. To discuss more, we are now being joined live by Dr. Avner Cohen. He is a professor of non-proliferation and terrorism studies at the Middlebury Institute and a West Asia analyst. Thank you so much for joining on the show. Now, the phone call.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, the phone call between Putin and Trump were majorly dominated by Israel-Iran conflict. Do you think at this point international pressure can bring about some resolution to at least an effort towards de-escalation?
Yes, and I think it should be by both Putin and Trump. Both of them have credibility with both sides of this conflict. As you know, to start a war, it's easy, and apparently Israel, for years, for decades, has been building towards that kind of first beginning of the war. The more we know, the more it appears to be brilliant in so many of its tactical aspects, including beyond just the immediate things. But to bring it to some kind of termination, to try to de-escalate, it's not that easy. So I think the combination of Putin and Trump is, in principle, a good one to try to force both sides to de-escalation, yes.
Right. Now, Israeli media have claimed that Iran has asked Oman and Qatar to mediate between Tehran and Washington with the aim of resuming nuclear negotiations, but on a condition that Israeli attacks cease. What kind of role do you think an Arab community can play in the conflict right now in West Asia during this conflict?
Well, I think that direct talk with the United States seem by the Iranians as somewhat biased towards Israel. The United States' previous bargaining position was no enrichment. For Iran, enrichment has become, over the years, almost the flagship of its foreign policy and domestic policy, in fact. So bringing some local Arab states who are friendly with both sides seems to create some kind of situation of starting to put some grounds for conversation. Uh, as you know, the United States is not engaged directly in the offensive, but the Iranians believe that the United States was helping in creating debate, in creating the conditions for the Israeli attack, providing various kinds of cover, not direct involvement, but cover. And I think to have some local Arab from the Gulf may give some kind of confidence building measure.
Right, and you mentioned U.S. Now, Trump has clearly said that he has left the door open for any kind of discussions that can bring Iran on the table. Do you think countries like Oman and Qatar can actually convince Israel, on the part of Israel as well, to actually stop this whole conflict, maybe a ceasefire, and bring them to the table?
It is not easy. It is not easy. Uh, I believe that Israel always has been successful in very short kind of wars. Uh, to manage to sustain a war with that kind of distance, essentially the entire what you call East Western Asia, all the way from Tehran to Tel Aviv, nearly 2,000 kilometers, it's a very, very difficult challenge for Israel. Israel cannot keep that kind of intensity. For Iran, which does not have an air force, it has a lot of missiles, does not have effective, serious air force. They can simply continue every night to send a few missiles. Israel cannot allow itself to get into attrition war. So the question is how to find a way to de-escalate, and both sides need to agree for that. It's not just the desire of one side. So I believe that both sides, in fact, do have the need to do so. And I think that involvement of a number of outside countries, including Russia, who is friendly with Iran, could be in principle quite helpful.
Right, and also you talked about Israel's, how long can they actually go for this? Because of course there has been 3 years of conflict in the region, exactly in itself. But where do you think, why is Israel so confident about actually going after these? They just attacked military headquarters, nuclear weapon infrastructure sites. How long do you think Israel can actually take this, even being having U.S. as ally?
The truth is that Israel cannot do it for too long. When I say too long, I think the intensity of so far the first 3 days is enormous, and I cannot see it continue for that kind of intensity, that kind of pace, more than a few more days. And that is very, very tough. Israel is keeping quiet about that, but Israel has limited resources. As brilliant as it is in terms of ammunition, in terms of number of planes, the pressure on those elements of the IDF who are participating, primarily the Air Force and intelligence, is enormous, and Israel needs some kind of pause. I think the Israelis would have liked the United States to help them directly. I am very doubtful if that's possible. I don't think that Trump is ready to do so. So there is a need to see coming to some kind of pause, some kind of ceasefire. One way to do it is perhaps for Israel is to give some demonstrations of what it could do in terms of just scaring the Iranians, perhaps igniting a great deal of their oil area and the energy. But I think Israel has a need, but I think Iran too. Iran has been, his pride it's a proud country. It has been humiliated. There was attacks all over Tehran, its capital. This is unprecedented. So I think Iran needs to feel that it has retaliated enough to Israel. To be honest, with all what this scary side that we saw on the screen in Tel Aviv, around Tel Aviv, in Bat Yam, and other places, this is nothing to what happened in Iran. So I'm not sure if Iran is still satisfied with its immediate needs. It's also to keep its own regime. So I think we do need others to help to push both sides out of the tree that they've got into, to go into some kind of towards ceasefire. And I hope that would be successful.
Absolutely. Now, Israel has said that, as you said, that Israel is probably not in a position to actually prolong this whole conflict.
It cannot.
How about
cannot.
Iran?
It's not.
How about Iran? Because like all these military
Iran
targets
is,
have
you
been
know,
attacked.
Iran is a country with over 90 million people, huge territory. I think for the Iran issue, the Iranian pressure is to keep the stability of the regime. If they perceive, and I'm not saying factually anything because it's difficult to say, difficult to assess from the outside, but if those attacks could destabilize the regime, could shake the regime, I think there would be a growing incentive towards ceasefire. But Iran needs to feel that its pride has been repaid, that its credibility and dignity has not been damaged too much. And so far, the truth is that Iran's dignity has been suffered a great deal.
Right, and
Because it's Israel. I mean, what we learned in the last few hours, in the last 12 hours, is that Israel, that initially, in the initial stage of the war, we understand that most of what Israel did was using munitions from, long distance. Much of it was apparently outside Iranian borders. Israel was able to remove so much of the Iranian air defense that by now Israeli aircraft, Israeli combat planes were having a safe path to Tehran all the way to the Iranian capital. And that's humiliating for such a major nation, a nation that prides itself to be the heir of a great civilization.
Now, Iran has so far claimed that it's not using its nuclear weapons for anything else but civilian purposes. But of course, now the negotiation talks are still in a limbo. Do you think Iran would actually want to go back to its nuclear efforts?
Difficult to say. Those decisions will be made by the supreme leader itself. So much of the Iranian leadership has been decapitated. We're just removed. I'm talking about their military leadership, nuclear leadership, and even elements of the Revolutionary Guard. So even the very notion of Iranian leadership below the supreme leader is kind of in limbo. So we are not fully clear about what kind of consultations, who are the new decision makers. But I think that Iran, and that's what Israel is trying, because the Israeli pressure, the pressure on Israel to have it short is a very strong one. And also the realization that the United States would not be actively involved in that. I think that's a growing understanding. I think that the dream of Netanyahu was that Iran would make mistakes, would attack American assets in the area, and the United States would be dragged into this fight to help. It doesn't seem to be happening, at least as of now. Right. So both needs to recognize. You see, when you start, one side can start, especially if it has a very tempting, a very well prepared for years, for decades, attack plan. But to agree for ceasefire, you need both sides to believe that a ceasefire, or at least a pause, would serve their own interest. And it's a very tricky thing to have both sides feel it, and that's why you need the mediations of some strong element from the outside. Russia and the United States is a good idea.
All right. Well, of course, we'll have to leave it at that, of course, and leave what the developments look like if we go in the future. But thank you so much, Dr. Avner Cohen, for joining us and giving your insights.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Iran's latest strikes on Israel has led to a widespread destruction. Various apartments and residential streets were hit after a fresh series of attacks. Now, one of the worst impacted areas that came under direct hit of Iranian missiles is the city of Ramat Gan, with blown out buildings, destroyed vehicles, and streets strewn with debris. Ramat Gan is a city in Tel Aviv, district of Israel. It's located east of the municipality of Tel Aviv and is part of the Gush Dan metropolitan area. It is home to a diamond exchange district, Sheba Medical Center, and many high-tech industries. Air raid sirens sounded across Israel as authorities urged the public to take shelter.
We heard the siren. We were lucky to run to the shelter. We were sitting in the shelter. And then we heard such a boom. It was awful. We were sure that the missile hit our building. We had, of course, to wait until we were allowed to go out. We went out. We went out. We saw the windows and shuttered and everything broken, destroyed. The house, we went to the house. The house looked awful.
Windows.
We went into the safe room. We locked it properly, sealed it properly. Me, my wife, our 2 kids, and the dog. We heard the interceptions, which were really, really loud. And then after a few minutes, we could feel something was incoming, because we could really feel the interceptions close to us. And then we heard a very loud boom.
Missiles were seen over Tel Aviv's skyline. Drone video showed destroyed homes, and rescue teams gathered on site of an Iranian missile strike in central Israel. Israelis inspected the damage to their homes in the city of Rishon LeZion, which is 8 kilometers to the south of Tel Aviv. Now, destroyed buildings and cars could be seen in the street as residents and rescue workers tried to salvage belongings. Israel said Iran fired salvos of 200 ballistic missiles in 4 batches, which in a first penetrated deep into the parts of central Israel. Energy markets are on the edge as Israel-Iran tensions escalate. Israel has struck a major blow to Iran's energy infrastructure, targeting the South Pars gas field, the world's largest, shared with Qatar. A direct hit on Iran's onshore Phase 14 gas processing facility triggered a massive fire and forced the shutdown of an offshore platform producing 12 million cubic meters of gas per day. South Pars supplies nearly 2/3 of Iran's domestic gas, making this a critical hit to the country's energy backbone. Now, this is the first time energy infrastructure has been directly targeted in the ongoing confrontation, signaling a dangerous new phase in the conflict. The fallout from the attack is already visible, both on the ground and in the economy. Shortly after the Phase 14 strike, a separate fire broke out at Iran's Fajrajam gas plant, which is one of the largest in the country. Early reports point to hostile drones. Though official confirmation is awaited, the damage comes at a time when Iran is already struggling with widespread power blackouts, costing the economy around $250 million each day. Now, these new hits further strain a system already under immense stress. Experts are calling this the most significant attack on energy infrastructure since the 2019 Abqaiq strike in Saudi Arabia. Iran's condensate efforts to China and gas supplies to Iraq and Turkey now face potential disruption. The impact is reverberating through global markets. On Friday, U.S. crude oil prices surged up to 13% intraday before settling near $73 per barrel. While Iran's limited export capacity and lack of LNG terminals may contain the global supply impact for now, while the risk lies in escalation. Or with that, we call a wrap to this edition of World DNA. But don't go anywhere. News and updates follow on the other side of this short break. You're watching Beyond What Is Fun. Stay tuned.
WION
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
We're giving an AI-generated video where we can analyze your credit history, your credit score.
It's all about now content. A lot of it is now digital. A lot of TV content is still being watched.
I think it's been a fantastic journey. We have succeeded in some of our original goals, which was to bring credit accessibility to both companies and individuals.
Key milestones of traction under your leadership.
Getting actually a personal check from Mr. Ratan Tata. We got an opportunity to get listed.
One of the biggest things that has changed in Razorpay over the last 5-6 years, Jaibi, is to be a single product, single business company to a multi-product, multi-business company.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Vielleicht nur